Welcome to History Unfolded. For over 200 years, Japan didn't just close its borders, it vanished from the world stage. No foreign ships, no travelers, no trade, just an archipelago, moving in deliberate silence. And yet, from that profound isolation emerged a nation that would eventually captivate the globe with its technology, art, and relentless drive. How did a feudal society, locked behind wooden gates and guarded by samurai, transform into one of the most advanced and open countries on Earth? This is the story of Japan's rise, its darkest hour, and its astonishing rebirth. Long before neon skylines or bullet trains, Japan was a land of mist-shrouded valleys and scattered settlements. Human presence here dates back nearly 40,000 years, when early migrants from mainland Asia brought agriculture, metalworking, and the first seeds of civilization. By the 3rd century AD, southern Japan had coalesced under the Yamato clan, ruled by a monarch whose title would echo through millennia, the emperor. Culture and governance flowed steadily from the continent. Buddhism arrived from Korea in 552 AD, quietly reshaping spiritual life. In 645, the Taika reforms modeled Japan's bureaucracy after imperial China, centralizing power around a royal court. For centuries, the capital moved with each new ruler until 794, when Emperor Kamu settled it permanently in Heian-ki, modern-day Kyoto. Thus began the Heian period, nearly 4 centuries of poetic refinement, courtly elegance, and artistic mastery. But beneath the silk robes and ink-stained scrolls, real power was slipping. The imperial court grew increasingly detached, consumed by internal politics, while provincial warriors gained strength. Feudal lords, backed by disciplined samurai, began to challenge the throne. The breaking point came in 1160, sparking a brutal succession crisis that erupted into the Genpei War. By 1185, the Minamoto clan emerged victorious. In 1192, Minamoto no Yoritomo secured a historic title from the emperor, Sei Taishikun, supreme commander of the imperial forces. In practice, it made him Japan's true ruler. Thus began the shogunate, a military government that would dominate the islands for nearly 7 centuries. The imperial court remained in Kyoto, but real power now rested in Kamakura, a coastal stronghold governed by samurai discipline. The shogunate's first true test came from across the sea. In the 1270s, Kublai Khan, ruler of the Mongol Empire, demanded Japan's submission. When the demand was ignored, Mongol fleets struck Kyushu in 1274. Outnumbered but fiercely determined, samurai held the line. Then, nature intervened. A massive typhoon, later called kamikaze or divine wind, shattered the invading fleet. The Mongols returned in 1281, only to face the same devastating storm. Japan survived, but at a steep cost. The shogunate's treasury was drained, samurai went unpaid, and loyalty fractured. In 1333, Emperor Go-Daigo seized the moment, overthrowing the Kamakura shogunate and briefly restoring imperial rule. But by 1338, another warlord, Ashikaga Takaoji, had reclaimed shogunal power, establishing a new regime in Kyoto. Yet real authority remained fragmented. Regional lords, known as daimyo, ruled their domains like independent kings. Alliances shifted, betrayals multiplied, and in 1467, the Nin War erupted over shogunal succession. It tore the country apart, plunging Japan into the Sengoku period, the age of warring states. Chaos bred innovation. Ninja emerged as masters of espionage. Warrior monks took up arms. But the true turning point arrived in 1543, when a Portuguese merchant vessel, blown off course, landed on Tanegashima. The Japanese encountered firearms for the first time. Muskets spread rapidly. By 1556, over 300,000 guns were in use, forever changing samurai warfare. Alongside steel came Christianity, which gained footholds through trade and diplomacy. Amid the chaos, visionary warlords rose. Oda Nobunaga, ruthless and brilliant, harnessed European firearms and began unifying Japan through conquest. Just as victory seemed within reach, he was betrayed and forced to take his own life in 1582. His general Toyotomi Hideyoshi seized the mantle. Born a peasant, he rose through sheer merit, completed the unification, and ruled as regent. But his death in 1598 shattered the fragile peace. Once again, the daimyo clashed for supremacy. The final showdown came in 1600 at Sekigahara. Tokugawa Ieyasu emerged victorious, and in 1603 he was named shogun. He moved the capital to Edo, modern Tokyo, and established a regime that would bring unprecedented peace. For 268 years, the Tokugawa shogunate ruled with iron discipline. Trade flourished, roads expanded, schools opened, the population doubled, arts like kabuki, ukiyo-e, and haiku thrived. But stability came at a price. To prevent rebellion and foreign influence, the shogunate cracked down on Christianity, banned overseas travel, and in 1639 enacted sakoku, the policy of national isolation. Only the Dutch and Chinese were permitted limited trade, confined to Dejima Island in Nagasaki. Japan turned inward, preserving its culture while the world raced ahead. Yet by the 1800s, the foundations were cracking. Famines exposed administrative failures. Meanwhile, Dutch medical and scientific texts, known as rangaku, quietly introduced Western knowledge. Japan's isolation was about to end. In 1853, Commodore Matthew Perry's steam powered black ships anchored in Edo Bay. Their cannons spoke a language the shogunate couldn't ignore. Forced to open its ports, Japan signed unequal treaties with the United States and other Western powers. Humiliation sparked rebellion. Southern domains like Chish and Satsuma rallied behind the young Emperor Meiji, demanding an end to shogunal rule. In 1868, imperial forces marched on Edo. The Boshin War ended Tokugawa rule. The emperor was restored to supreme authority, and the capital moved to Tokyo. Thus began the Meiji Restoration, a deliberate, rapid modernization campaign. Railways, telegraphs, and public schools transformed the landscape. Western advisors helped rebuild banking, law, and industry. The military adopted European tactics and conscription. The old samurai class resisted. In 1877, the Satsuma Rebellion erupted, but the new imperial army crushed it, proving Japan's transformation was irreversible. With a modernized military, Japan turned outward. It defeated Qing China in 1895, annexing Taiwan. In 1905, it stunned the world by defeating Russia at Tsushima, the first time an Asian power had decisively beaten a Western empire in modern warfare. Korea was annexed in 1910. Japan had arrived as a global force. Riding high on military success, Japan joined the Allies in World War I, seizing German Pacific colonies. But the post-war era brought economic strain and rising ultranationalism. The military grew increasingly autonomous, driven by expansionist ideology. In 1937, Japan launched a full-scale invasion of China, triggering international condemnation. Western nations imposed embargoes, cutting off oil and steel. Facing economic suffocation, Japanese leadership made a fateful decision. On December 7, 1941, the Imperial Navy struck Pearl Harbor, dragging the United States into World War II. For years, Japan conquered vast territories across Southeast Asia and the Pacific. But Allied counteroffensives, island-hopping campaigns, and relentless bombing turned the tide. By mid-1945, Japan's cities were in ruins. Refusal to surrender led to 2 atomic bombings, Hiroshima on August 6, Nagasaki on August 9. Over 100,000 perished instantly. On August 15, Emperor Hirohito addressed the nation, announcing surrender. The empire had fallen. Under Allied occupation led by General Douglas MacArthur, Japan was demilitarized and democratized. The emperor renounced his divine status. A new constitution guaranteed civil liberties and pacifism. Guided by leaders like Shigeru Yoshida, Japan pivoted from conquest to commerce. By 1955, its economy had surpassed pre-war levels. By 1968, it was the world's second largest capitalist economy. Decades of innovation followed. Japanese automakers and electronics firms dominated global markets. High-speed rail, robotics, and consumer technology redefined modern life. Today, Japan ranks among the world's leaders in longevity, safety, and technological advancement. From centuries of isolation to global prominence, Japan's journey is one of resilience, adaptation, and quiet determination. It is a nation that learned to close its doors to survive and open them to thrive. And as it faces new challenges in the 21st century, the spirit that rebuilt a shattered empire continues to drive it forward. Thank you for watching. If you want more deep dives into the events, empires, and ideas that shaped our world, subscribe to History Unfolded.